Welcome into another edition of Ask Mike. Our lovely senior analyst is on vacation still, much deserved. So Dudley Dawson is back. Always great to have you stepping in for Courtney Mintz today. Happy to be back. It's been a while since I have hosted an Ask Mike, and you've got some pretty good questions this week, Dudley.
I thought so. I was interested in reading them, and hopefully I've given the right answers.
And before we got started, great compliments on your segment last week. Guys loved you, the fans loved you, so excited to have you back.
There's nothing like a guy with a radio face on TV.
Don't tell Mike.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We'll jump right in. Marty Bird's Proxy is our first question of the day, and he says Nick Smith is going to be an outstanding player, which we were pretty sure of going into the season. You've seen most of the great ones come through. Any certain players his game reminds you of? Todd Day or Joe Johnson come to mind? Others?
Well, really, when I thought about this question, Joe Johnson's skill set, the fact that he can score at all three levels is certainly something that Nick Smith can do. But also, I wanted to take a look, and when you look, Kareem Reed, that may be an interesting comparison for people, but Nick is very creative with the ball, gets his teammates the ball in the right spot. And then Teddy Gibson's athleticism.
Okay.
I've been watching Nick since he was in the 8th grade. He's always been able to do a lot of different things with his athleticism that helps him get to the rim. So those are the three guys that really, when I thought about it, came to mind.
Yeah, I think those are great points, but I also think Nick Jr.'s just his own player a little bit. Add a little bit of this and that. But I remember looking up on Saturday, and it was like, wow, the kid has 16 points. It kind of just... surprise isn't the right word, but it's just almost like, man, just like that.
In his second game, effortless.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He and the team are only going to get better the more he's out there.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. All right, here we go. Whippersnapper says, since it's Dudley, and I've already asked Mike this question, he wants to know, what is your most memorable moment while being a fan or covering the Hawks?
Well, that's pretty easy for me. In February 12th, 1984, my best friend, Charles Valentine, former teammate at Newport High, hit a shot that took down #1 Michael Jordan in North Carolina. So in Pine Bluff, and that was an exciting moment. If you watch the video, you can see that after Steve Hell misses his shot, I catch the ball on 2 bounces. Whether the university has that ball or not, we'll just kind of leave that out there. But it also was the same day that I met my late wife, Laura, who gave me 2 beautiful kids, and Brooks and Lindsay. And so that was quite a day. The second one probably would be walking out in 1994 in Charlotte, North Carolina, to cover the NCAA tournament game where obviously Arkansas beat Duke. Not so much covering the game, but walking out from that tunnel to cover a game that I had watched the previous 30 years or so on TV. So those are 2 of them that kind of stand out for me.
Yeah, those are awesome memories, Dudley, for sure. All right, next question. Brooke Epling wants to know, can we possibly see a Sweet 16 or Final Four this year? That's a football question. A basketball question, and then a football question. Will Malachi Singleton be our second string QB? He's getting a bang for his buck here.
Yes, as far as the basketball, certainly I think it's a probability that Arkansas is going to be a Sweet 16 team. I think the coaches, players, and the fans would all be disappointed if that's not. As for a Final Four team, that takes a lot to go right. It's they've only had a few of them here, but they certainly have the talent. I do still worry a little bit about the outside shooting and also turnovers. But we know that in his tenure here, Coach Eric Musselman teams have improved over the season. I'm sure that's going to happen again. So certainly they have that opportunity. But I'll stick with the probable on the Sweet 16 and possible on the 4.
Okay.
As for Malachi Singleton, he is a young man from Georgia that will be in here at midterm. He's coming off a season-ending injury in his second game of the season. He's trying to get healthy, but he'll be here, be able to go through spring practice, be able to, to contend for that job. But you have to wonder if a guy like Jacoby Criswell, the former Morrilton quarterback who just got in the portal at North Carolina, who's going to visit here this weekend, possibly somebody else gets in there. Will that be an older guy that takes those snaps and you kind of get Malachi a year? Whoever it is here, I know it's going to be great for them that you have a guy like KJ Jefferson who will be able to mentor them just like Felipe Franks did KJ.
Yeah, absolutely. Malachi was on campus this weekend, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. As I say, I follow his mom on Twitter. They were all, him and his brothers, they were getting on an airplane headed up here, so that was pretty cool. I thought that was neat. All right, next question is from Jamie Haddock. The SEC channel this morning listed Arkansas the the worst football team in the West, with Ole Miss as the other option, which is shocking. Will the realignment of the SEC help Arkansas or hurt, since we are perceived as a lower tier program to feed to perennial favorites?
Well, first of all, I'm interested to see who said that.
Yeah.
Because I need to question them about it, because in my mind, and I think in most people in the SEC, the bottom two teams in the SEC West this year were Texas A&M, who has a coach that should be let go but is not because of the amount of buyout he has, and Auburn, who obviously has a new coach coming in Hugh Freeze. Those are the two teams that, both have the recruiting prowess, but it's the NIL thing. Texas A&M, I think, passed out a lot of money, and people are jumping in the portal left and right after they got it. So, but I don't think Arkansas is the bottom feeder that whoever it was said that. Mm-hmm. What I do think is, in answering the other question as well, I don't think it matters which pod they're going to be in, which division, if they all go to, how the schedule makes out. It's going to be about the acquisition of talent and the development of talent for Arkansas to be able to get to move up to where they want to be. It's not going to be about which geographic place they are in terms of this pod and all that. So you've got to take care of yourself. Coaches always say, worry about what you can worry about, control what you can control. That's one of these cases. I'm
so curious about how that was perceived. I wonder if they said, like, overall national perception, or this year versus last. That's wild.
Yeah, because if you look at next year, Auburn only has 60-something guys on scholarship. 17 of the 18 guys that Harsin had in his first class have all transferred or are in the portal ready to transfer.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, next question is from Bill McGarity, and he says the incident that happened against San Diego State, and he's talking about after the game between the fans and the coaching staff. Is it over, or are there consequences for the people involved?
I don't think legally there's going to be any consequences. I don't think it rose to that level. I do think that the Maui will have more security next year. But as far as lingering a little bit, I'm sure that it will come up, and Coach Musselman will hear some of that on the road from the opposing fan base, especially since his team's good. And, those fans will be passionate to show up. And also, I'm sure that there are some national writers or whatever that will bring that up every once in a while, because he's going to win. He's colorful, and not only does he make his own social media, he helps other people out.
Yeah, all right. Last question from the viewers. Joe Palmer wants to know what really happened with Devoe missing a game.
Well, there was certainly a lot of speculation out there and some rumors that were just stupid that we're getting out there, but I guess that's kind of what rumors are. Some that were way off base. But what I do know, until Coach Musselman or Devoe says something, themselves, I believe that it simply was a personal matter, as they said, and that's how it happened. His teammates adored him. He came back. He played well the other day. They seem to be really happy he's back. He's a feisty player. He's an emotional. That can go both ways, sometimes. Maybe that factored into it. But what I'm saying is it's a personal matter, and it's handled, and he's back, and this team looks pretty good.
Yeah, you got a feisty and emotional head coach, too. Sometimes, people get in. Sometimes it's a private matter that you figure out privately and you move on. I have a question for you, because I don't want to leave this Ask Mike without giving some shout out to the women's team, who started 10-0 right now to start the season, finally in the rankings. But watching the women, what's impressed you the most with them?
Well, I think it's the whole continuity of the team. You have several, returnees, but you've also got a lot of new players that have stepped in and played. Sailor Poffenberg, comes to mind, and I just think that cohesiveness. I think that leads to the coaching staff. Obviously, Coach Mike Neighbors and his staff are doing a good job, but they have the talent. The chemistry's good. We're going to see how it pops out, but 10-0, that's a good start. Finally, the AP voters have noticed. Yeah, no, it's exciting. I've had a lot of fun watching them. We were watching them on Sunday, and it was like, out of nowhere, here they are up by 40 on Oral Roberts, so it was pretty great. All right, that's going to do it for another week of Ask Mike with Dudley Dawson. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.